Hi everyone, this is Sean. Today's video is designed for those of you who will be taking the California Private Patrol Operator Qualified Manager exam. This video is also designed for those of you who are located in other states and even California, and you want to know a little bit more about supervision. You want a little bit more tips. This video is going to help you as well. So in California, in order to own or operate a private security company, you have to have what's called a private patrol operator license, and you have to have a qualified manager that's attached to the private patrol operator license. The qualified manager is the person that has to take the exam. In the exam, you are tested on different management and supervision theories. If you are not well versed in management and supervision theories, there's always that likelihood that you're not going to pass the exam. If you don't pass the exam, you're going to have to wait another between 2 to 4 weeks and then pay another, I think it's $40, or they bumped it up to $80. Do you have the time to do that? Do you have contracts waiting for you? A lot of people don't have that luxury. So we're going to talk about different styles of supervision in this brief video, and I'm going to show you my book. So this book is called The Private Patrol Operator, Managing a Private Security Company in California. A lot of you have this book. I know this book isn't the cheapest book. It is a bit pricey. It's available on Amazon. Just type in on the Amazon search engine, Private Patrol Operator, and my name, Sean Sundal, and my book will pop out. Most of the time you can just type in Private Patrol Operator, and all of my publications will populate the search engines. So we're on section 17, Supervision, and I cover different methods of supervision. Number one question that I have from a lot of people who are concerned about the private patrol operator exam is what's the supervisor and employee ratio? So if I have 100 people, how many supervisors should I have? And if you're taking the private patrol operator exam, I'm not saying that this is a test question. I'm just saying that you have to be generally versed in management and supervision techniques, and this is something that could be covered. So generally speaking, there's different standards, ladies and gentlemen. I just read a contract from Good Guard Security. They just got a contract with the city, a very good contract, and the city will only pay for one supervisor for any 20 employees. That's too many employees for a supervisor. If they did a 1 to 10 breakdown, I think that's a lot more realistic. It's a lot more manageable. Ideally, what I recommend is for every 5 to 7 employees, you have one supervisor. It also depends on the knowledge and skill set and abilities of your employees. If you have a group of, we'll say 10 private security officers, and this is their new day on the job, and this is a post where there's a lot of client interaction, a lot of public interaction, it might be worthwhile to have 2 supervisors, one supervisor for every 5, and then the other 5 can have another supervisor. Now, if you have, we'll say, military veterans, they're fresh out of the military, well disciplined, you can get away with 3. I'm sorry, 3. You can get away with having 10 or 15 of these veterans. If you have a lot of security officers, we'll just say 10 or 15 of them, and they've been on the job a long time, and even if there's a lot of client interaction, and as long as you, during a background check, you're able to verify their experience, you could possibly do 1 in 15. But try not to go more than 1, as general rule, no more than 1 supervisor for every 5 to 7. So let's try to stick around that area. If you're watching this video and you own a private security company or you manage a security company, we would like to hear from you. What's your ratio? Is it 7 and 1? Is it 10 and 1? Is it 100 and 1? Or is it 50 and 1? I would like to know. But my recommendation, once again, is for every 5 to 7, there should be 1 supervisor. Okay, and if you have 15 employees or 10, you can have somebody that is, we'll say your sergeant, your shift sergeant, or your team leader, and then you can have a corporal that also helps manage the shift as well. Okay, so this person would have some qualifications that are slightly under your team leader, but still they would have leadership and supervision abilities and skills. What is the best way to supervise your guard force? Well, in my book, The Private Patrol Operator, I outlined a few techniques here. The first one is direct supervision. That means you're having a supervisor on site that is not micromanaging, but is able to hear the communication, the radio communication, and to observe what is going on at the post. This supervisor should not be actually stuck or stationed at a fixed post. This supervisor should have roving capabilities so that this person can do their day-to-day rounds and make sure that the guard force is doing what they're supposed to be doing. There's also random inspections. It's basically showing up in the middle of the night or showing up every other hour. It's random. There's no set schedule. Basically, under this supervision technique, you're not trying to catch your guard force in workplace misconduct. Rather, you're trying to ensure that the contract is performed as agreed upon. Okay? So, if the contract states, and I'm actually reading from my own book here, the contract states that the main property gate has to be secured at 1 o'clock p.m., okay, is the gate secured at 1 o'clock p.m.? If the guard is sleeping at 1 o'clock p.m., then the gate's not going to be secured at that time. So let's try to, instead of trying to find as much workplace violations or issues with the guard, try to stick to the contract and see what the objective of the contract is. And most of the time, almost all the time, it requires your guard to be alert and to be awake. But look at the objectives first. There's also something called an electronic clock. My earlier days when I started, we had something called the DTEX wand. You swipe a magnetic strip at every strategic location on the post. And then at the end of the day, there's a printout that shows what date, what time you were at a specific location. This looks great to the client, but electronic clock can be beat, you guys. And what I mean by beat is this. You could just be on a mission to maybe exercise or to swipe as many times as possible, maybe even leaving gaps. But when you're so fixated on swiping these magnetic strips, you're losing your objective. And your objective is to observe and report suspicious activity on the post. You can do that by swiping magnetic strips, but again, your guard, they're going to be more fixed on meeting the objectives of swiping this magnetic strip rather than what they ought to be doing. And again, that's just me. If you give me 15 DTEX strips or electronic clocks all over the property, and you are so fixed that I arrive at a certain strip at a specific time, and you don't allow any deviations, then I'm going to just concentrate on swiping those clocks or those strips. Electronic surveillance. This is something new. About a year ago, I met with a private patrol operator qualified manager or qualified manager trainee, and he was so impressed to show me this GPS system that they have on the cell phones. I get it. You're able to show the client at this day and time this guard was here doing his or her rounds. There's no way that the officer could have seen what happened over here because they were doing their rounds over here at this place. Supervisors or managers of security companies, sometimes they're able to see where you're at from the luxury of their own house. I get it. It's convenient. It's convenient for the client. It's convenient for the security manager. But what is your objective? Is your objective to observe and report? Most of the time it is. Okay, most of the time it's to observe and report, perhaps reduce crime on the property. Now, when you're tracking your employees, all that you're really doing is tracking their movement. That's it. You're tracking their movement and their location, and that's the only behavior set that you're monitoring. Are you able to monitor good customer service from a GPS tracking device on the phone or on their person, on their vehicle? No. Are you able to observe their conflict resolution? No. Are you able to observe whether they're driving in a safe and prudent manner on the property? Yes. I'll give you a caveat though. With GPS, yes, you can track their speed. Okay, but let's just say the speed limit on the property is, we'll say 10 miles an hour, for all intents and purposes. Speed limit is 10 miles an hour, and you're constantly tracking their speed 10 miles an hour. Well, one day there's a thunderstorm, okay, or there's a dust storm with low visibility. Is 10 miles per hour safe and prudent for those conditions, roadway conditions? No, it's not. Okay, no, it's not. Are you able to mentor and develop your employees over a GPS unit? No. Again, does a GPS unit, are you able to ask the GPS unit any questions? So there might be a liability on the post that appears, maybe a trespasser, and you can't observe everything that's going on behind the screen monitoring GPS. There's no human interaction. Again, GPS just monitors the behavior that's specific to location and movement, and that tells me nothing. Doesn't tell me what they're observing. I mean, unless you have a body camera on them live, which you're going to be treading on privacy issues because they're going to have to go to the bathroom. They're going to have their breaks. I just don't think that just depending on electronic surveillance, GPS is the best form. It's one of many forms. If you combine all of these supervision, we'll say modes or methods of supervision, combine them into one, it should work. But all in all, the best supervision technique of all time is direct supervision. That does not mean micromanagement. It means that there's a supervisor on site that's able to listen, see, smell, all these senses. They're able to use all their senses on the post. And we want to ideally have one supervisor for every 5 to 7 officers. That's all I have, you guys. If you like this presentation, if it helps you pass the private patrol operator exam, that's great. If this book in the past has helped you guys pass the private patrol operator exam, please, if you would revisit Amazon and please hook me up with a review. That's how I'm able to function. I'm able to survive. I'm able to produce more videos on YouTube because I could spend I could spend time on the videos rather than trying to find other side jobs and other methods of income. So I really appreciate those of you who leave me reviews. Also, if you like the content and you're not somebody that can just learn from reading a book, I mean, this book is, with the index and table contents, 353 pages. It actually does offer a practice exam towards the end. It's not the same exam as what the state offers, but it will help you gauge what a state exam would look like. I obviously can't have the same exam because that would be a violation of law. But if you're somebody that learns from videos and somebody speaking to you, I highly suggest that you take my 40-hour online private patrol operator leadership and development course. When I say 40 hours, you're going to spend 40 hours. The average user will spend about 2 to 2.5 months on this course. Very rarely are you able to just complete the course in 40 hours. Can you skip the course? No, it's guys, when I say 40 hours, it's 40 hours. And there's over $1,400 worth of forms that I provided that come with the course. I'll leave a link in the description for the course. You could spend 40, 80 hours developing these forms that you're going to need in order to start from the bottom and then open up your doors. Or you could just attend the course and you could download these forms for free. So if you guys have any questions, concerns, let me know. Let me know if you're a supervisor, what is your best technique? And if you are a line staff member, meaning you're not supervisor, how do you like to be supervised? I know a lot of you, nobody likes to be micromanaged, but what is the fairest way to be supervised, considering that management, the owner of the security company, have a legal duty to make sure that the terms and conditions that were agreed upon on the contract, to make sure that these terms and conditions are really being executed at the letter and the intent of the contract. You guys all take care, and hopefully you'll have a nice week.